Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, the White Rabbit, and in today's video, it's the current year and you need to understand whiteness. The article I will be discussing today, entitled A Conversation About Racism and White Privilege, written by Melina Lynn Griffin, was published on the 1st of January 2019. And before we delve into this madness, there are two main questions the article gets to. The first question is how much guilt propels whites to step outside their comfort zone in the professional world, and the second question is what does it look like to constantly give up one's racial privilege for a lifetime. And as due to that, I declare this is going to be a doozy. But without further ado or delays, let's dive into the rabbit hole. Because there just hasn't been enough about politics in the news recently, I've been reading up on potential Democratic presidential candidates for 2020. I was wondering why people identify as Senator Kamala Harris as African American, since her heritage is Jamaican and Indian. Although I had a feeling this was a really stupid question, nevertheless sent my query to the African American Registry. I'm going to start with saying this isn't too terribly egregious, for the beginning at least, and if I was going around saying I'm the White Rabbit but I used a wolf, I'm sure similar questions would pop up. Even though asking the question may be justified, I personally feel it's irrelevant, but that's probably because I pick my politicians based on their politics, instead of pointless characteristics like race, gender, or if they're secretly a lizard person. And lastly, I had no idea what the African American Registry was before beginning this, but after a bit of research, it's basically an organization that attempts to get funding by caring for other people, so think like PETA or Autism Speaks. Sure enough, a guy named Ben wrote back, simply follow the middle passage. Too late, I remember my trip to the Museum of African American History and Culture last year and had learned and forgotten about the early slave trade. The maps outlining the slave routes from the African continent to the islands. The pictures of sugarcane plantations, the whips, shackles, and chains. In fact, by the time of the American Revolution, there were close to 200,000 African slaves in Jamaica. Feeling sheepish and frustrated with myself, I wrote back to Ben asking him to forgive my ignorant white self. I'm always aware and grateful to people who take the time to educate me. The only thing I have to say to this is Ben probably meant the middle passage donation option on their website. You know, pay your reparations and maybe I'll treat you as an equal. Maybe I'll answer your question. Much to my surprise, Ben wrote back asking if he could interview me. Turns out he's a director for the registry, and an important part of his work is educating white people. He said he hoped I could help him understand whiteness. I told him I certainly couldn't speak for all white people, but I would certainly love to help if I could. Well, at least she knows she can't speak for all white people, so clap, 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 clap. Here's her participation trophy. Take it home and add to your collection. Understanding whiteness. Ben has two main questions. One, how does guilt propel whites to step out of their comfort zone in the professional world? And two, what does it look like to constantly give up one's racial privilege for a lifetime? These questions got me thinking. I'm looking forward to our interview. Understanding my own history, racism, and privilege has been an important part for me to understand my spiritual growth. It's also a key to my professional development when I worked on culture compensity and dismantling racism at the Syria Club. Going beyond my guilt and shame was essential. And this is where the author begins to start losing me. How do you feel guilty and shameful for something that, one, you weren't involved in, two, didn't have a say in the matter, and three, you weren't even existing on the planet by then? The Hindenburg was all my fault. What really interests me, though, is his second question. I'm not sure white people can give up their privilege. It just is. It's a fact. You can't take off your skin color. I did nothing to get it. It's just the way people in society as a whole view me. I'm aware of it now. I do small things like letting a person of color walk through the door first or get in line ahead of me, or speak first in a meeting, just to purposely step out of my unwarranted position of privilege. And I work towards a racial justice, reconciliation, and I try to make sure the groups I work in will not be led by white people. But I don't think that a person can give it up. The trick is to become increasingly conscious of it and declining it and bringing it to light whenever possible. Finally, it's over. And this isn't Skyrim, and I mean that in a way of you don't get to pick your race, and there's also, you don't get any racial perks. You don't get a benefit for being this race or that race. Just people in their retardation applying something that isn't there. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? And how would you answer these two questions? Let me know in the comments down below, and have a good one. And if you're new to the channel, look around, and if you like what you see, think about subscribing. Until next time, I've been your host, White Rabbit, and you've been indispensable.